Hey, folks, here we are. We are live. It is Wednesday, the 12th of May. Unbelievable day where we're having several days in a row, actually sunshine, and the rain has subsided. So we're here today. I'm Tom Young, and we're here. Wednesday, the 12th, several days in a row. Here we go. And the rain. Here we go. I'm Tom Young, and I'm here for podcast called Money Shifts with Anchor.com, and also live Facebook presentations. It's about inspiration. It's about growth. It's about finding our way, finding your way to the future in the best way, the most efficient way that you can to bring happiness, success, fulfillment in life. It all is there. You have got to stay on this journey. You know, whether it's with me or without me, you need to read books. You need to be involved in constant growth of this thinking muscle between your ears. Challenges in life. You know, we're talking about this book, The Road Less Traveled by M. Scott Peck. And I mean, the whole section of the book. And today we're going to talk about withholding truth, white lies and black lies, and some of those kind of things, and how they impact our ability to cope, our ability to handle challenges that confront us every day. Life is a challenge, and enjoy it. Accept the challenge with enthusiasm. No matter how big or how bad it appears to be the person, be the one that can handle whatever happens. God built us that way. Visualization, the word today, visualization, unique word, and I'll talk a little bit about that. Visualization, the representation of an object, situation, or a set of information as a chart or other image. The formation of a mental image of something in our mind. Visualization is daydreaming with a purpose, says Bo Bennett. Did you ever notice the world tends to be exactly how we envision it? Want to smile? Hang out with babies. Want to feel depressed? Watch cable news. Yep, the world is pretty much how we decide to see it. The most successful people see success before anyone else. John F. Kennedy had a vision for sending a man to the moon and returning him home safely. Before the end of a decade, when scientists and naysayers insisted that the feat was impossible. One time, Star Wars was just an idea in the mind of George Lucas. But now the force is as strong as ever. J.K. Rowling had a vision of Harry Potter. And now he's an iconic part of our society and as real as a roller coaster at Universal Studios. Sarah Blakely imagined Spanx long before they became as essential clothing staple for so many. And Maya Lin was just a senior in college when she submitted her design for a memorial to the nearly 58,000 American servicemen listed in chronological order of their loss in the Vietnam War, to be etched in a V-shaped wall of polished black granite sunk into the ground. You may not have a vision of grandeur, but they are grand none the least. You know, visions are unbelievable. And just, I want to share a story with you because the visualization, I learned this and read about it years ago. I have read about it over and over again in many different books. And so I just want to make sure that you understand the power in visualization. Seeing something in the mind's eye before it exists is powerful, because think about it, folks. Everything started that way. Everything. The computer I'm sitting here at and broadcasting this information. Everything was a visualization. It was a thought in somebody's mind before it came into existence. This is so powerful part of growth and success in life. It has literally changed my life. I mean, I have visions in my mind of someday standing on a stage in a dark suit and maybe a red tie. And I'm the speaker for this vast meeting and an audience full of people. And it's my job and responsibility to inspire those people in the audience. I dream of that opportunity someday. I believe it will happen in my life. It is what my mission is every day of my life. And when you speak about something that doesn't exist, is that a lie? That's what Peck, he talks about in the book, and he's talking about the white lies and the black lies. So we're talking about something that is unique. And let me get back here to my page. Withholding truth. Lying can be divided into two types: white lies and black lies. A black lie is a statement we make that we know is false. A white lie is a statement we make that is not in itself false, but what leaves out a significant part of the truth. The fact that we lie is white does not in itself make it any less of a lie or any more excusable. When we talk about things, and you always say that, if I really have a great memory because I really try to avoid lying about anything, and the truth never changes. The past is the past, the truth never changes. No matter how much the educational system today, especially in America, has been underpinned by an organization called the Fabian Society. I believe they still exist today. They are still the underlying influence in our educational system in America. Do some research. Do the research yourself. Don't sit there and say, "Oh, Tom, you don't know what you're talking about." Google. Do a search engine on the computer, on the internet, and Google the Fabian Society and do some reading. I talked about this several times. It is scary when you read what the underlying philosophy is in the Fabian Society about the future. I mean, even today on the news, in some of the clandestine news places that isn't blocked by these platforms, talks about depopulating the world. George Bernard Shaw talked about it in the 1930s when he was a major part of the Fabian Society. In the 1930s, there were over 6,000 members to this society. And George Bernard Shaw, a very famous playwright and a man of influence in his writings, he wrote about there are just people in our society that need to be exterminated. That's what he said. And along with that, he said there needs to be an old person's commission set up, sort of like the IRS, that audits people's lives. And are you still a benefit to society? Do you bring something to society? And if not, maybe we just need to exterminate you. Which reminded me when I read that of a movie called Soylent Green, which was half a decade ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. There's a movie named Soylent Green. And when you reached a certain age in your life and your capability, the van showed up to take you off to the retirement farm. And the retirement farm was a soup factory where they turned you into green soup. Don't believe me? Look it up. Look it up. Soylent Green was the name of the movie. The same thing applies when we look at visualizing. My daughter, growing up, had some challenges in school, as many kids do, and her and I worked out a deal that if she graduated high school with some recognizable honors, Dad would buy her a car of her dreams within reason. And she was maybe 14, 15 years old when this all started. And she wanted a Volkswagen Beetle Bug. Man, those things were crazy. And with the flower on the dash. I mean, my daughter was a flower child, born 20 years late. So anyway, we went to the Volkswagen dealership and took a Volkswagen for a test ride. I drove it. She rode in the passenger seat. We go back to the dealership and I explained the story to the salesman, and he smiled and said, I understand. He says, let me give you a brochure. And he gave my daughter a brochure that was, double the 8.5 by 11, double pages. Okay, so it was a big brochure, 22 inches. She took it home, put it on her wall in her bedroom, and it sat there till she graduated high school. Now, when she graduated high school, she was president of the National Honor Society. She got straight A's in school. She went to a vocational school to learn how to become a cosmetologist. And when my wife and I would go on teacher's night and meet the teacher at the Votech school, the lady, I think her name was Mitchell or Micken or something like that, Mitchell. And she used to say, Sarah could do things at the professional. I would show her how to do something. She could immediately do it like a professional. And those were the things the teacher said about my daughter. So inevitably, she graduated with honors, and I had to go buy her a car. So I go out and I'm searching about 6 weeks before she graduated. And I started looking for this car. I had a budget. So I started looking around at the Volkswagen dealership that was local, and their cars were 30, 40% more than my budget would allow to buy this car. And I was driving down the road, and here's this Saab dealership. And there was this blue Volkswagen sitting in the front row. It looked like a sore thumb among all the dark colored Saabs that were there. So I bought the car. Graduation day come. The car was delivered to the driveway with a big bow on the top of the car. And my daughter come out, excited. Here's her car. So a little while later, she comes to me, she says, how did you do this, Dad? I said, what are you talking about, Sarah? She had the poster off of her wall. And the car that I purchased, it was a used car. It was a couple years old. But it was the car that was on that poster. It was the same year as the car on the poster. It was the same color as the car on the poster. It was the same model of the car on the poster, the engine. It was the perfect match of that poster that was on her wall in that car. I did the same thing years ago with a Cadillac that was sitting at a used car lot. I mean, it was just a vision of mine that I was going to own that car. And 8 months later, that car was still sitting on the used car lot. And the guy that owned the lot, the car dealership, he was a friend. I knew him. I had worked there at one time years before. And he said, I don't know what you did, but nobody even made an offer on that car since January when I first saw it and August when I bought it. The power I'm sharing with you folks is awesome. But you have to believe, you have to build this in your mind. The same thing applies when I talk about the financial things in our lives. You have to believe that the great thing can happen to you. You have to see it in your mind's eye. You have to have a vision. You have to be able to visualize what you want to happen. Because faith is the belief in something that doesn't exist yet. I believe in me. I believe in you out there. If you're looking at me today, I believe in you. You can grow. You can do this. You can change your life. You can change your future. And for what purpose? To change other people's lives. The man that I met 30 years ago, Jody, when I was at the bottom of the pit on the edge of bankruptcy, and nobody knew about what was going on. And I went to a business meeting where this man was, and he got up and started to talk. He stepped down off the stage, picked me up out of my chair, and he said, sometimes people just need a hug. He didn't know how bad I needed that hug that night. And he whispered in my ear, Tom, I believe in you. And I have never forgot that night. I can see it in my mind's eye as plain as day. It's a VCR movie, a video movie on my mind. Because all the way home that night, in the 2-hour drive home from where I was, where I met this man, all I had in my mind was someday I want to be the kind of man that he is, was, and still is today. He's still a very personal friend of mine and still coaches me. I still listen to what he says. But my dream was to become the kind of person that could reach out and touch your life, take your heart and massage it and make you feel like you have never felt before. Help you to believe in you. That is the most important thing in my life. And I want to touch 1 million lives before I graduate this earth. But there is balance. You know, part of this is balancing. Balance is family, financial, business, spiritual, physical. I mean, what good is it to get to retirement someday and have saved a lot of money and not be physically well enough to enjoy retirement? All of that matters. We'll be back tomorrow at noon. God bless. Get my book, The Family Money Farm, The CFO Project. Get it at Amazon, Barnes & Noble. All the booksellers have it. You can go to cfo-project.com. There it is above my head, up there. There it is. Okay, there it is. Put in your name and email address, and you will get a link instantly and a cover-to-cover download of my new book, The Family Money Farm, The CFO Project. Now, don't forget the Summit to Success. That's coming in 2 weeks. It's going to get here fast. I need you to communicate with me and send me your email address if you haven't already, so that I can send you the link to get your free ticket. It will be an awesome day. There are 6 speakers and 7 presentations that day about all these things in our life, a holistic approach. Personal, physical, business, financial, spiritual. They're all there. They'll change your life that day. Don't forget to sign up. God bless. We'll see you here tomorrow at about noon.